You know, it's tough when you have a co-star. As soon as we set up to take this shot, Charlie decided he wanted to sit on my lap. But you know, Charlie, I got to get up and talk to these people, okay? So I'm going to put you down. You can't be in all the shots. So we got the painting at home now that we found out there in San Juan Capistrano in the antique mall there. And this is the painting that I finally decided on by, I think, an artist by the name of Charles S. Ward. I'm not sure, but I'll get into that in a moment. But what compelled me to buy this painting over the other two pieces that we were looking at was the strength of that pastel. Now, pastel is a difficult medium. Oil painting is forgiving. Pastel isn't so forgiving because it's all just pure pigment on top of that board. You really have to know what you're doing because it's very hard to correct. And this work was just masterfully executed. And when I saw that mastery, I thought, regardless of the price or regardless of the auction history, this is the right painting to buy. What really impressed me about this is the presentation. It is beautifully framed. Whoever had this framed, and this is not a frame from the period, because that would have been maybe turn of the century artwork. He hasn't dated it. But the frame isn't. The frame is at least mid or late 20th century. And there are some really expensive details to this frame. First off, there is a hand-wrapped linen mat. That's not cheap. That's very well done. It's handwork that has to be done by a master framer. Inside of that linen mat, he's put a 24 or 23 karat gold, I believe, wooden fillet around the image. And then the frame itself, and I didn't realize this when I first saw it, has actually been gilded in 23 karat gold. And the reason I know it's 23 karat gold and not 24 is because it's what's called water gilded. It was gilded using the water gilding process. And the clue to that water gilding process I found when I looked carefully right here. I can see right here something that's called red bull. It looks like red clay. That red bull is applied over this gesso. That molding style was imprinted in gesso, and then this red bull was laid over it in preparation to receive the 23 karat gold leaf. So this frame is a very expensive frame. That framing job is probably worth more than I paid for the painting itself. When I evaluate a painting, I'm not just looking at where it was painted, I'm looking at how it was constructed. The craftsmanship, the structure, the tonal control, the compositional balance. As you saw in the last video, I passed on a California Impressionist to buy this painting. The other painting was by Curtis Chamberlain. He's a known and listed Laguna Beach artist. It had the right geography, the right movement, the right story, but this painting has stronger bones. When I value painting, I'm not just looking at where it was painted, I'm looking at how it was constructed. Draftsmanship, structure, tonal control, compositional balance, it's all there in this picture. Mastery isn't about movement, it's about control. And when I looked at this painting, the way the light is handled, the way the composition holds together, I saw trained hands. So that led to a bigger question. If this painting shows stronger structure, discipline, who painted it? And what is that discipline actually worth? The painting is signed Ward, W-A-R-D. No first name, no initials, just Ward, no date. Now there are dozens of artists with the name Ward listed in auction databases. I must have seen hundreds this morning looking, trying to find Charles S. Ward. Different centuries, different countries, different levels of training. So the question isn't, is this by Ward? It's by which Ward, because I found hundreds. When I compare this signature to documented examples of Charles S. Ward, particularly the structure of the W, the open A, and the upward terminal of the D, the handwriting characteristics align very closely. However, this work omits the initial C in front of it and S. So while the evidence is strong, the attribution cannot be absolute. Charles S. Ward was born in 1850, and by the 1890s he was active in the California art market. He worked in oil and he worked in pastel, and his primary subject was landscape painting. Ward never became a headline name. No big auction record for Charles Ward. There are some results, but not very many, and not very expensive. But he belonged to a generation of academically trained American painters. Now we separate artistic merit from market value. A small pastel of this size, roughly 10 inches by 12 inches, typically trades at auction in the mid-hundreds up to the low thousands range. If firmly attributed to Charles S. Ward, I would expect an auction result between $700 and $1,200. If sold simply as Ward, as it's signed, the value would be less, it would compress. In the art market, certainty carries a premium. Ambiguity results in a discount. But as we've come to learn, mastery exists independently of valuation. My co-star has been sitting at my feet patiently waiting for me to pick him up again. He keeps looking at the camera, wondering why he's not in the scene. Normally, I would turn the painting over and open the back. We already looked at the back at the antique mall, and there's nothing on the back at all. It's completely sealed all the way around. Now, if I wanted to be absolutely sure that this is Charles S. Ward, I would open that back up and look for any further documentation. There's probably on the back side of the artwork a signature and a date and maybe even a title. But at this point, I'm not inclined to do that. I love the painting. It's going in my collection. It's not going for sale. It's a masterpiece. Happy hunting. You know they're out there. If you watch this video all the way to the end, you're the person who I wrote my book for, A No-Nonsense Guide to Buying Art. You can find it in the link in the description below. Happy hunting.